All right, welcome everyone to Stock Analysis Friday. My name is Bennett McDowell with TradersCoach.com, and today is November 22nd, 2024. All right, well, first of all, wishing everybody a happy holiday season as we head into Thanksgiving next week. We will be live next week on Friday, so please join us again next week, and welcome. All right, purpose of Stock Analysis Friday basically is I'd like you to when you're ready, type in either a stock or an ETF and do it in caps in the comments area. I'll look it up for you and I'll give you my take on it technically using the ART software and our proprietary software tools. And from there, you can take it. Also, too, we'll do, let's do 3 at a time per person. And let me know when you type in a symbol, let me know if you're long, short, or thinking about it. Okay, so that way I can, kind of tailor the analysis to better help you specifically. And we'll be here for about a half an hour. Okay, so and anything you want me to look up in terms of ETF or stocks is fine. All right, so let's go ahead. Let me just go through the administrational items, which of course include our risk control or our risk disclaimer, I should say. And we want you to know that past performance in the markets does not guarantee future performance. Also, we deal in a realm of probabilities, not certainties. There's no guarantees when you take a trade. So you always have to use risk control, and you always have to use money you can afford to risk called risk capital. Those two things are really important. Now, if we come across an idea or a stock today that you like, I strongly recommend you run that by your financial advisor or whoever manages your money to be sure it's suitable for you. Okay, I don't know your personal situation. They do, or at least they should. And from there, you'll get a better opinion on whether that particular idea is suitable for you. So just keep that in mind. Now, for those, I'm just going to briefly bring up something really quick, because this has helped a lot of our traders that are into day trading or want to get into it. Prop firms are a great way for you to get into it without much risk, because basically what you're doing is you're trading their capital. But in the beginning, they give you what they call an evaluation account, which is not a real account. It's like a simulator account. But the idea is if you reach a certain level on that evaluation account, they'll fund you. All right. So not a bad deal. It's not expensive at all. In fact, I'm going to give you a coupon that you guys can use in the chat area. Definitely use that. I think you'll save like 80% or something. So definitely use that. So I think if you got like a $50,000 account, I think it costs you around $37.44 or something like that per month as a subscription. And you can read all the rules and regulations about what it takes to become funded, but you get free data with that. So if you're looking even just to get free futures data, what a great way to go, because I don't think you can get it that cheap anywhere else unless your broker gives it to you free. But that's for the futures market. And so I like to mention that because, I trade the prop firms and I just think it's great. They give you a 90% payout as well. All right, big news. The Art of Trading second edition is, it's being printed. And I think the official release date is like the first week in January or something. So that's on its way. Okay, so definitely check that out. I think it's going to be the best book I've ever written. It's about 580 pages with an accompanying website. So a lot of information in there. We also have books on money management. So if you need help in that area, and I'll put links to all this stuff in the reporting, okay, as well as Elliott Wave is another good one too. All right, so you can check that out when you're ready. And then finally, just the last little bit is the software we're going to be using today. I'll put a link if you want to buy this super software. We use it for position trading, day trading, all sorts of things. We've got scanners, we've got risk control software, charting software. I'm not going to go into the details here of how it works, but you'll see me use it on charts when we go through things today. And then finally, as Gene always says, give us a like. All right, and there you go. All right, so let's go ahead and start getting going here. Now, the first thing I want to do actually here is first get rid of that. Let me just quickly go over the markets in general. We've been going up for quite some time, so people are getting a little jittery of a move down. And I agree, it's coming, but it's not here yet, folks. All right, we haven't even broken any of the trend lines. I mean, here's the S&P 500, and you can see, yes, we're just getting into the target on the S&P 500. We've been in the target for a while on the Dow Jones, but it hasn't broken any trend lines. So, you know, until it does that, we're in a bull trend still. And let me just show you what the Dow looks like real quick. And give that a second to load. And the same thing with the Dow. It's a little further along in its trend and its target. But the target range for this top is around 42,271 to 51,000 now, okay? So we could still go up quite a bit, or it could end at any time. And the only way we're going to know is if these trend lines and support levels get broken. So stay with it until they get broken. And if you come here every week, I'll go over it really quickly. But if you want a more detailed evaluation of this, check out some of our subscription services that deal with a weekly market update where I do a complete video on all this stuff, and it's called the Moore Report, okay? So just keep that in mind. NASDAQ's no different, okay? It's still going up. All right, let's get going here. One thing I wanted to share with people before we got going was the ETF for natural gas. Now, if you prefer to buy this in the futures market, you can do that, you know. But most people here, we're going to stick with ETFs and stocks. And we had a brief low put in on UNG. And there's some interesting information coming out on this. You know, I've been watching this for quite some time. We went long, then we got stopped out. All right, but now we're back to going long on this. If you want to wait a little while until we get, you know, if you're a little bit more, okay, I like the early entries, but let's wait until we break here in case we remain bracketed. Hey, I get that, okay? And who knows, maybe we'll make one more low. So if you wait for here, that'll be a more definitive breakout. You'll still have plenty of room for some profit coming up. However, if you want an early entry on these lower time frames, we get the green light for the early entry, okay? So we'll see what happens. Now, it's pulled back a little bit today, not unexpected. We're hoping this, of course, this bottom holds. That's the whole key of going long here. That bottom's got to hold. But one of the interesting things is that this thing has been beaten down for a long time. I mean, it was at 150. Now it's all the way down to 14. So even if it had a brief rebound, you're talking probably doubling your money. Okay, so I'm kind of liking that idea. Also, too, there's some news out there, and you'll have to validate this. You know, they're talking about all these AI systems, and they're going to have to use energy. All right. And, you know, in terms of that, UNG is in the energy sector, and it is used for a variety of different types of energy, from heating all the way up to powering turbines and things like that for electricity. So maybe there's something there that will increase the demand for natural gas. So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Also, too, with this new administration that came in, they might export natural gas. So there's a lot of reasons that we could see a move up fundamentally on this, but technically it's starting to break out. So if you want a early entry on something, and you don't mind taking a little bit of risk, this is the one for you. Okay, I'll put this down as a buy, but maybe not for everybody. But certainly if you wanted to wait for it to clear this high here, or even take this high out, you certainly would be fine doing that, because it would still get you in time. Okay, so that's one I wanted to share with you today and go over. The other one too, real quick, is the ETF for bonds. Okay, so the ETF for bonds is another one. And on this one here, this is not a buy. Okay, I'm not saying to buy, but again, this is another one I'm watching. And the only reason I didn't go long earlier on this is simply because we had a red PTF on this chart on the far right, which is our weekly chart. So every price bar on this one represents a full week of activity, or 5 trading days. So that's a long-term chart. This one's the daily chart, this is kind of your normal chart that most people use. And every price bar represents a day. And then we got the shorter time frame with 60-minute chart over here, where every price bar represents just 60 minutes. So when I load a symbol up, I'm looking at all those different charts or time frames. And the purpose of that is to give me a better overall view of what's going on. So we got a downtrend currently back on TLT. So I'm glad I listen to my PTF on the weekly chart. However, this is getting close to a bottom, and we could get a reversal after a new bottom. So we kind of want to keep an eye on it. We're seeing bullish divergence in our OWL momentum indicator there at the bottom. So I like that. So we'll see what happens with this. It's not a buy, but maybe put it on your watch list simply to keep an eye on it. And again, we can keep an eye on it every week here as well. All right. Let's see what's coming in. Stuart, how are you? SNOW. Let's see what we got cooking there. SNOW. All right. Give that a second. All right. Yeah, this is definitely a nice bounce off the bottom, right, Stuart? Holy cow. All right. You know, this is great when it happens, but the problem is that I kind of like it and don't like it. The reason I don't like it is because, you know, unless you got in on this breakout here, you know, getting in here, now you have the tendency of filling the gap before it does anything. So that is such a big move that it, you know, easily could come down to 150, 140 before it resumes its trend up. So this is what they call an expansion bar, and you can certainly see that on the weekly chart. So you probably had some institutions and whatnot buying it at this level and then expanding it out. So usually that shows a trend continuation. There's no question about it, but you usually get movement in that price bar, and that movement would be represented by filling the gap and then having it go. So it's that type of thing. Also, too, the next price bar will probably generate a fair value gap on the weekly chart. And so that's bullish, okay? And then look for the next major liquidity point. It will take probably out here, the 240. And if it really has gusto, it'll go up there and take the 400 mark out. Of course, that's not going to happen tomorrow, but eventually. So I think maybe wait for the pullback. Hopefully we'll get one. We usually do. And let's see what happens with that. Let's see if we get a pullback in this gap anywhere. And then maybe look for a reversal when you get into that gap area back to the upside, and then go long then. So something like this, and then a turnaround, and then that might be a nice buy. You could buy now, but your stop has to go so far down that your trade size would be small. All right, that's one of the problems. Maybe think about an option. If you don't care about, you know, just letting it go, you could do an option. So I like snow. I'm not going to recommend it because I think for most people, it might be short term, a little tough in terms of the pullback. So, but I like the idea. Okay. All right. So let me go back, Stuart, to your setup here. All right. So did that help you with managing it? Price targets, hard to know. I guess in terms of a price target, you got actually two. All right. So you have many actually. So you got a PTF green here indicating more highs. But again, the PTF doesn't tell you what kind of pullback you're going to have. You have a PTF here indicating super highs, okay, way up here, except that's going to take a few years. I would say from a liquidity standpoint, all right, this is probably the high that makes a sense. So I would think they're going to take that out, because if anybody's short, that's probably where their stops are, okay? So probably continuation up to the 240 mark is pretty good. So you probably want to get into this if it pulls back, okay? If you're in it now, just stay with it because more highs are coming. All right, let's take a look at your Nike here, NKE. And talking about an early entry. Okay. Yeah, so we looked at this before. All right, so it's pulled back in the last week since we've met before. Well, maybe not. Okay, it's pulled back actually since this fall, because that's the weekly chart. So this week it's actually coming back up. This bottom did hold. All right. I don't think I would do anything with this yet. And the reason for this is we still have a red PTF over here. So that if that's correct, and it's correct 75% of the time, then that's saying it's going to come down below the low in that red PTF area. So that would mean lower than this. and then we'd have to see if this bottom holds. Okay, that's the problem. Now, if this PTF is wrong over here, and it's wrong 25% of the time, then as soon as this turns green, then I would say probably not a bad time to consider a long position at that point. All right, so what we want to make sure with Nike is that the bottom, okay? It certainly seemed like it back in October, but we've had a big move down on it. Not unusual, okay? When you usually have a big move up off a major bottom, it tends to retrace. But now we just want to make sure that that retracement's close to being over and doesn't take out the bottom, okay? So I don't think I would do anything with that. And let's give it another week and let's take a look at it. All right, thanks, Stuart. All right, Eleanor, how are you? Okay, watching, great. Okay, this really helps me when I know whether you guys are watching something or are already long, so to speak. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, so I get why you're watching. Okay, big move down, seems to have a bounce right now. My only problem with this one is this, the red PTF. Okay, so that's indicating that that's not a bottom. So that doesn't mean you couldn't get a Fibonacci retracement off this. That's certainly possible, but it's not a buy and hold here, okay? So I think probably for right now, I would stay away from this because we've got a couple things close to actually turning red again, and that's this PTF here is almost at the bottom there. So let's hold off on that. When that PTF is no longer red on the center chart, which is the daily chart, then that will be a long. And when that happens, and if it happens, don't worry, you're going to have a big move up, okay? So don't worry about that. All right, so I would not do that now, okay? All right, let's take a look at VST here and see what's cooking on that. And with VST making new highs here. And in that case, I'm thinking it's kind of too late. All right, I think it's going higher, but the problem is you're playing Russian roulette here. It's just too late to get in. Okay, I think you kind of want to try to find something just beginning to pull out of a pullback. I think your odds will be much better for profitability there. Okay, so all right, VST. In fact, that will pull back pretty violently at some point. All right, let's take a look at your next one, ALAR. All right, this one's bouncing off a bottom. This one's better, okay? So we got a green PTF here. We got a big move down. It seems to have settled here. You had an expansion bar out there. You had a fair value gap in here. You have a move off the bottom. I'd say this is good. Let's put this one down as a buy, ALAR. All right. I think you can hold this one for a while. It should, according to the PTF, break this area here. You may have a little bit of a pullback at that liquidity area, but you got liquidity here. And I think probably in terms of a fib retracement and an Elliott wave count, you probably are going up above there. So I'm kind of liking that. So ALAR, we're going to put down as both a short-term trade with a target right here. And let me give you the exact number of that, because that's the PTF target. So that's going to be a high of what? 21.47. So right around in there is your target. And that's a pretty good return on 15 bucks, 15.60. Stops need to go here at the bottom. You might be able to use an option as well. And that's the way I would play that. Long-term buy and hold would be okay on this, but you're going to have to hold it for a year or so, okay? Maybe more, all right, for you to get anywhere up in that upper realm there. All right, so ALAR looks good. I like it. Thank you. All right, super. All right, let's see if we got any more. Yep, ALAR is a winner. All right, anybody else? So if we don't have much else, we're going to go ahead and end pretty soon. And I'm going to jump over and start trading the NASDAQ here on some short time frames. But let me just make sure we get finished here first. Going once. Okay, Eleanor's back. Great. All right, LPG. Let's take a look at that. Are you in these or thinking about them? All right, so here's a pullback on this one. So this is actually a really textbook example here, so to speak. So if we look at this, this is a 3 here. All right, ooh, could have been a 4, 4, 5. Boy, that's interesting. Could have been a 4, 5, minor 5. Okay, so don't buy it yet, but let's see if we get a turnaround here, because this is a 3, 4. So I think this probably is a 5 up here. And then we had a new move down to restart the count going up here. So this 5 was the end of 3 over here, because there's 5 waves in 3. And so now this is a 4. And after this, we should get another big move up. Not as much enthusiasm as in the previous one, because wave 5 is less enthusiastic than wave 3. But this is setting up for a really nice long trade. I think going in here is a little premature. Let's wait until we get a change in direction. We're still heading down. Look at the 60-minute chart, even look at the daily chart. So even though we're in the target, the lower part of the target for an entry possibility, we're not quite there yet in terms of the trend changing. So let's put LPG and put that on the watch list, and be sure to have me look at that next week, okay? All right, GCT, let's see what we got cooking there. All right, let's see what we got here. This is the other one we looked at. All right, so I don't know why that red line is there. It should be here. Let's see what we got cooking. Maybe we looked at it long while. Okay, that looks good. All right, so we got a pyramid here. That's good. We've got a green owl here. That's good. Yellow, no red owls. We have a little bit of volatility, but this looks like a really nice bottom here. So 3, 4. This is calling for a high above 45 on the PTF there. And if we do the extensions, let me make sure I'm going back in time enough on that, then we certainly would have a high at least starting at 37. That's a deep pullback. So I would, yeah, I would shoot for this one, and I would look for a 44 high on this one. So I'm going to put this one down as a buy. All right, GCT, nice job on that one. All right, so that one I like, and you know, I would put the stop as low as you can comfortably afford it. That, you know, because you got to make sure you have at least a decent trade size. So I'm kind of thinking maybe under here. All right, better yet under here, okay, or an option. Might not be a bad choice. So we'll see. You know, technically, from a technical standpoint, it's still kind of a little bit here. I mean, you still could get a breakdown, but I think overall, if you put your stop as low as you can, that should keep you in the trade, and it could bounce up from here as easily as go down. So I'm kind of liking it. All right, GCT. All right, EMN. All right, EMN. Okay, so here we are. Let's see on this one. I'm going to open up that weekly chart for just a moment. A little messy on there. Tough to get a good take on that one, right? And I'm not getting any help from the PTF at the bottom. And this one's red here. So no go on this. I think probably we're going up to 108, because that would be a fib retracement based off that, you know, around maybe anywhere from now to 107. Green PTF just turned yellow, so we may now be turning and going back down. And here we have a red PTF indicating that this will be taken out. So maybe something like, you know, a move up here and then another move down with a fib extension for targeting that next move down. And if we did that, it would be looking something generically, if it turned around right around 96.96, so 97 to 92. So I would not buy that until we get further down. So bring it back and we can look at it again, okay? All right. Gene says, thank you for your likes. We appreciate it so much. All right, Jim, SOXS. Jim, you're my day trading buddy. I just got another funded account this morning on Apex. So good day so far. I'm looking forward to getting back to it. All right, so we had a little bit of a breakout from the bottom here. Okay, we have very bullish divergence, but no pop yet on the weekly chart. In fact, we still have an active pyramid to the downside. Boy, you could have look at these pyramids, how well they just went all the way down. These are minors, so you don't go long on those. You really use those for scaling out if you want, but that's still an active pyramid. So technically, anything here would be considered an early entry. All right, so you still got bearishness, a little bit of bearishness left. We may be turning around on the weekly chart. This is almost green, so we certainly could be. We had our one little hook down, so I'm liking that. We have green here. We have a move off the bottom with a pyramid like that. Here's another area that would be nice to break and give you further confidence that we are now not going to be bracketed for a while. That's the only problem with that. So if you wanted to take a super early entry, you could do it with a stop at the bottom or under, just put the stop under our pyramid here. That's good enough for this. And I don't have any green PTF, so that's a super early entry. I'm wondering if I need to put that on the buy list or a watch list. That's a kind of a tough one. It's not an A+ yet trade. It's more like a B, but it is a early entry trade. So I kind of like that. So I'm going to put it down on the buy list simply because it's okay. All right. And it certainly would get you in nice and early, but you understand what I'm saying, right? Okay, so let's take a look at BJ. How you doing, BJ? All right, so we got FXA. Still loading. All right, the weekly chart loaded. I don't know why the other charts aren't loading, but the weekly chart loaded. There they are. Okay. Oh, low liquidity on this. Okay, liquidity is really low. You can tell that by all the gap. And look at the 15-second chart. Okay, so that's interesting. All right, so on this case here, we got a red. We still have a red PTF on the weekly chart. So that's actually indicating that this whole move down is not over, and that this is the you got two big liquidity points here too. So this is basically the PTF says it's going to take out this lower liquidity here. So you know, you may get a rebound into the 66 area, 66 and a half, but according to these charts here, it's heading down and liquidity is so low. So I guess I wouldn't do that one. Okay. All right, let's see what else we got here. My pleasure, my pleasure. All right, so going once, going twice. Let me know. Should we take a look at the NASDAQ and see what that baby's doing? If you have another one coming in, let me know. All right, let's take a quick look at the NASDAQ. Let's open this bad boy up and see what we got cooking. So we've got pyramids have really nailed this couple of these big trends. So I do a lot of scalping, but when I see a trend develop, then I turn it over to the pyramids. Red PTF looks like we're still going to make one more low. We'll probably take out this liquidity down here. This liquidity for sure. Doesn't mean you can't get a bounce, but that's kind of the areas I'd be looking at for right now. And we've got some major liquidity back here from the morning, the overnight activity. So we could see some of that getting taken out. So if I wasn't trading this at this point, I would wait here for it to take this liquidity out and then bounce back up, or wait here for that. But I think this is going to come first. So I kind of like to wait for, I don't like to take a trade until actually a liquidity is taken out of the market. When I can't get in early and it's sitting in the middle here, I don't like to trade that. All right, so I would wait for that liquidity to be taken out. Okay. All right, let's go back. We've got a few more things coming in here, and we've got Al with HPQ. Let's see what that is doing here. Let's see what old Hewlett Packard's got for us. Okay, so you are long with a question mark, so we're considering it. All right, red PTF still on that actually center chart. Check it out. All right, so I don't like to trade against that thing. Short term, it has turned green on the lower time frame and green on the higher time frame. Okay, so we don't have everything in agreement, and when I don't have everything in agreement, I don't do it. Okay, so that's no go. All right, for me. All right. Plus, it's kind of a messy chart out. All right, and it's it's interesting because basically bull trend should take this high out here, but it's kind of messy. All right, it's not my favorite. I think you can find something better. Let's take a look at your next one, which is PR, and see how that's doing. All right, so we got PR here, and that's moving up, but a red PTF again in the center chart, and a fairly extended move up on the 60, even though we still have a green PTF, but we also have bearish divergence. So no go on that one either. Okay, not a lot of history on the weekly for me on that. Okay, so no go on that one for me. And again, it depends what time frame you guys like to trade. Some people are here looking for long-term plays. Some are looking for swing trades based more on the chart in the center with confirmation from the chart on the left. And then some are primarily just trading the chart on the left for a few days. Okay, so it all depends on your time frame and what interests you. All right, so I'm looking at, I think we're slowing up here, and we are past the 30-minute mark. All right, and as Gene says, thank you for your likes. Okay, so we'll call it quits here today. That's it. Okay, so just a recap of what we like, and I'm just going to read them out. Okay, so we've got UNG, which is the ETF for natural gas, bouncing off its bottom, and a little bit of an early entry, but not too bad. Okay, ALAR, we like that one. GCT and SOXS, also an early entry, so you can wait on that one if you want as well. And that's it. Oh, Kevin's back with one more. All right, last one, Path. How you doing, Kevin? All right, let's get you in here. All right. Ooh, I kind of like this one, Kevin. Glad we looked at this. Let's see what we got cooking on this. All right, no red PTF. Nice move out of the channel. Okay, see that pyramid was confirmed, so that's out of the channel. All right, a little bit, we've taken out the short trades on the weekly, so that's good. So let me just open up the weekly chart for just a moment. I just want to make sure there's no liquidity sitting under there. There's not. Took out the liquidity, reversal, a little bit of manipulation with a reversal, and now we're up. All right, you'll probably get a bullish pyramid at some point. We have bullish divergence in the owl. I'm liking that. I'm liking that. I'm liking this here. Okay. Boy, good thing we looked at this one, Kevin. We're going to add that onto the buy list. Path. PATH. So I'm liking that. Now, where's the target? That's the question. All right, so let me just use the fibs. So I'm thinking, it's only 14.29. So, you know, 16.20, only 2 points away. You're going to have to risk 2 points. So the risk to reward's not great on that one. But if it gets to the upper realm of that fib retracement, you'll be in good shape. Hopefully it will fill the cap and keep on going, but it also could fill the cap in reverse. So I think you got to want this trade because 2 points is not a whole heck of a lot with the risk of 2 points. So I guess I'm going to recommend it simply because I think it'll get up here, but it's not my favorite because the risk to reward's not that great. Okay. So I'll leave it at that, but I'm glad we looked at that. Thank you, Kevin. All right. Well, listen, everybody have a great weekend and have a wonderful Thanksgiving. Okay. Because we won't be back until I think the day after Thanksgiving. So have a good one. And let me just see, as Gene says, have a great weekend. I'll put it on here like I normally do. We'll just kind of let this thing run out here. These purple lines are all fair value gaps, and they're based off different time frames and all that kind of cool stuff. So there we have that. And Eleanor, thank you. You too, okay? Have a good one. And Gene is wishing everybody a happy Thanksgiving as well. All right, so I'll put a little music on. I'll leave it here for a little bit, and then I'm going to close the room. Have a great one, and we will see you all next week.